An independent report is calling on NASA to do more when it comes to what so many of us know as UFOs. In the scientific community, they are known as unidentified anomalous phenomena. Now, the report says most of them can be explained, but others cannot. The scientists want them to be studied further. So NASA has responded by appointing its first director of UAP research.
And the top takeaway from the study is that there is a lot more to learn. The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin. But we don't know what these UAP are.
All right, we are into some interesting ground here. For more, let's bring in Paul Delaney, the Professor Emeritus of Physics and Astronomy at York University. Professor, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Your thoughts on this? Is this NASA kind of admitting that there's probably life out there?
Oh, I wouldn't read that into it, although Administrator Nelson did suggest that he was of the view that life does exist out there amongst the stars. And I guess I'm quite happy to say that too. There's a lot of planets. But the equating of a UAP to an extraterrestrial origin, they're very clear. There is no definitive evidence that suggests that equation exists. We see things in the night sky, in the daytime sky, that we can't identify. That is a known fact. For 50, 60 years, we've seen things that we can't identify. Very small number that we can't identify. But all this report is saying is we need more data to be able to determine what those things are. Don't immediately assume that they're little green men or women from Mars.
Now, of course, a lot of people are going to run with this and say, well, this, because we can't dismiss it. Therefore, what would it take? Is it possible for another species or another type of life to get here? What would it take as an expert in your field? What would it take for the travel?
A phenomenal amount of energy. The expenditure to send any sort of vehicle across the distances involved in stellar travel is absolutely enormous, not to mention the time that is involved in such activities. For example, our nearest star, Proxima Centauri, 4 1/3 light years away, traveling at the speed of light, that's 300,000 kilometers a second, it would take you 4 1/3 years to get there. When you do the calculation of how much energy that would require, forget about chemical rockets, forget about nuclear power, there is just no way at this point in time for us to be able to generate those types of energies. And if you do generate those sorts of energies, you have to have a pretty good reason to go there. You wouldn't just sort of fly off to a distant star for no apparent reason. So yes, it is conceivable to fly between the stars, but it's not a very practical thing to do. And if you do go all that way, why would you just sort of buzz a cow field or burn a hole in a cornfield? It doesn't make a lot of sense to travel all that distance with all that expenditure and not make contact.
So why is NASA doing this then? Why are they coming out and assigning someone to look into UAPs, and they're not even saying who the person is?
Yes, they have actually released the name.
Oh, did they release it now? Okay.
They have released it, although the name of the person is not on the tip of my tongue. Mark Peterson, I can't remember, but okay. They have announced it. The bottom line to it is NASA has said they need data, and that a lot of people have been saying for decades. For us to be able to get to the bottom of what this small number of unidentified aerial anomalous phenomena are, we need more data. Not just, I saw something in the night sky. You need to have sensor data, radar data. You need to have time, direction, information that will allow you to make an assertion that says, we don't have a flying machine that can do this, or this is what it was, and be able to identify. More data is needed. And that really, to me, is the takeaway message. And NASA has put themselves out there and said, we're going to try and
Professor,
get it.
I apologize. I'm going to have to cut you off. We're running out of time. But thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Cheers. Paul Delaney is Professor Emeritus of Physics and Astronomy at York University.